Well, Pisces, it's always a pleasure to have great news for you. And this month I do bring tidings of joy. It's not even Christmas yet, so you should feel happy about that. And why I say that, I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. Mustn't forget the introduction there. Why I say that is because we see the Sun, Mercury and the new moon that occurred on the 30th of October, which is now still having its effect in your ninth house, beautifully interacting with your ruling planet Neptune. And of course there's the other ruling planet for you, which is Jupiter. Coming from the ninth house of your horoscope, which in some systems of astrology is considered the El Primo sector of the zodiac. They would say that because the ninth house is all to do with spirituality, which is really one of your signature traits, that spiritual, intuitive, compassionate side of your nature, being brought out in its full flavour in the month of November 2016. So isn't it great? I can prove a lot of those people wrong when they say, you've really got bad news all the time, Dadhichi. Well, I don't. It's been a hard year, and people say, well, not for every sign. I say, yeah, for every sign. Have a look at what happened with the global financial meltdown. That affected so many people. So there are generational influences, cultural influences that affect all of us. It's been a typhoon here, so, that weather affects all of us. So likewise, amidst the darkness of all of those heavy cultural transits, this is a wonderful sort of opening for you. The new moon in the ninth house. Now, on a more practical level, the ninth house has to do with legal matters. It has to do with philosophy, religion, spirituality. It is also quite strongly connected with your past karma. Past karma is interesting because it's not just the events of this life that have some impact upon you. We can see the events of past lives. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation as such, it's funny, I was looking at some genetic tests that I had done, and those genetic tests go back 12,000 years to the Ice Age to show you where your father's lineage migrated from during the Ice Age, your mother's lineage. And it's interesting, I was thinking back, wow, all of the events that were happening then, culturally, in terms of the tribes and which of the tribes actually made it and then didn't get eaten by dinosaurs if they lived then, which scientists say didn't. But you know what I'm getting at. All of those events were past karma points that have in some way affected you genetically. The fact that you're here now means that those past events have affected you. We're not going to go back 12,000 years. Let's assume for the time being that the decisions you've made in the last 10 years have affected you, granted. What this new moon is showing us is that you're thinking about how those decisions have affected you right now. Mercury, the planet of marriage for you, is in the ninth house. So there's the Sun, there's Mercury, and this new moon. Mercury would show us that there must be some consideration of the relationships you've had in the past, learning from your mistakes about how you've entered into those relationships. What have been the karmic consequences of entering into friendships, relationships? How did you do that? How could you have done it better? So this is really a learning curve for you. A very, very important new moon. Now, the ninth house is considered to be the house of higher education. What better education can you have than the education of your own experience? People think you need a degree for that. I think you need awareness for that, and this is exactly what this month is telling us about you, Pisces. Going back, analysing the events, at least the ones you can remember. You're not going to remember anything about your past life anyhow. Generally speaking, we won't get into that now. Let's just stick to this point. Analysing how your decisions have impacted upon you now. How can you do those movements, make those same decisions better now for what you perceive will be the future? I think that is what's going on here. And also we see that that does have an impact later in the month when the moon moves into its fullness, the full moon taking place in your third house in its best sign the sign of Taurus, which is the conscious mind. So this is interesting because for you, analysing what's happened, even if you have to document this and write it down, so you can get the pros and the cons, what we call the Ben Franklin close. Looking at, this is an action or a decision I made. This is the good that came out of it. This is the not so good that came out of it. Why is it that the not so good came out of that? And really analysing it, making notes. So, because, you see that a lot of the decisions you make, it's more to do with the way you approach a negotiation or a decision. It may be a different circumstance, buying a house, marrying someone, buying a motorbike, taking that job offer. It's not the circumstance, it's the process by which you make those decisions, I think is what I'm saying here, and learning from your past, which is that 9th house, and the 3rd house, which is the conscious mind. Now, this is the part of your brain that you can look at and analyse and adjust. And so through that knowledge of the past, we see the full moon taking place here in the 3rd house of conscious activity, conscious perception, interaction with the environment. That's why it's also contracts, negotiations, and communication generally. So really, I think what we're seeing here is a very, very positive outcome for you towards the middle of the month. There are a couple of other transits that precede that full moon that I'd like to just quickly touch on here because they're important as well, such as on the 9th, the transit of Mars into your 12th house, another sector relating to the past, relating to all that's hidden. So this is going to, just prior to the full moon in your 3rd house of conscious thinking, it's going to really focus you on bringing up that stuff. And even if you don't consciously do that, because this 12th house is again another one of those secretive areas, there could be circumstances which bring it up automatically. Sometimes we remember things that how did I remember that? It could be a trigger, such as a person coming into your life. It triggers memory, someone you don't expect to see from the past that brings back with them a whole multitude of memories, a fragrance, a smell. I just know when my first son was born, goat's milk soap. If I'm in a store, a knick-knack store, sometimes or a pharmacy, I'll smell the goat's milk. I'll purposely go over to pick it up because I want to remember what happened. As soon as I smell that, all of the memories of the home birth we had with my eldest born come back to me. So smell is very powerful. So what I'm saying is that middle part of the month could find you in a situation where all of these memories and events, even understanding, is evoked by something that you don't expect. And of course that's because Mars is moving in the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is rather erratic and unexpected to some extent. The other aspect there, back with my eyes, which I need, is the transit of Venus, which is, that's not a friendly planet for you, but it does form some good aspects on the 5th to Uranus, so sudden opportunities in relationships, sexual matters. I won't go into that now. Kids are watching. And then the change, well, there's an important one on the 25th. This is after the full moon, where it comes into conjunction with Pluto, and on the same day square to Jupiter. So that could, in fact, cause some problems in relationships. We've seen also in your professional area, Venus in the hard conjunction to Saturn. So Venus hasn't been undergoing all that good a cycle. And I dare say that some of these reminiscences, some of the spiritual and meditative and psychological exercises you are going to bring to bear upon your past, how you've come to where you are now, are going to ultimately improve the situation. And Venus will also be a trigger in helping you identify what areas you need to work on. Hope you've enjoyed the preliminaries. There's more at astrology.com.au, and the big one is personal reading with me to help you engineer the destiny you want. I call it destiny engineering. It's Vedic astrology, which I've been doing for 35 years. The invitation is there. You know where to contact me here. Contact me at the site if you'd like to have a personal one-on-one reading that can reveal a hell of a lot more than we've been talking about here today. Enjoyed your company. I hope you did too. Look forward to your company again next month. Bye-bye.